All right, if you are a local business owner and you are tired of waiting for referrals, chasing down cold leads, or wondering why your ads aren't working, then in this video, I'm answering the real raw questions that I get all the time from local business owners who are trying to grow. So let's go ahead and jump right into it with the very first question here, which is asking, why does it feel like referrals just aren't enough anymore? And this is a great question. So a lot of business owners that I talk to are asking, why does it feel like my referrals just aren't enough? And this is so common because just think of how many other service providers there are in our area that offer the same exact service that you do. Whether you're a home remodeler or an HVAC company or a financial services professional, no matter the industry, there's almost definitely multiple other service providers that provide the same service that you do. So if you want to stand out and actually get the attention of people in your community that can hire you, you're going to have to stand out some other way than just relying on other people to refer you. So it's not to say that it's not a viable option to grow your business, but if you want to grow more predictably and actually scale faster and beat out all those other competitors who are relying on word of mouth, then the easiest way I can think to do that is to just start tapping into other marketing strategies or other marketing channels where other people are not marketing in your industry. And then you can start slowly taking that portion of the market and actually converting them into your clients. So again, while everyone else is just relying on word of mouth and waiting for other people to refer them, if you can be more proactive and actually put yourself out there on these platforms like Instagram, where people are not already marketing right now, then you can just absolutely stand out and dominate everybody else because you're gonna be the first one to actually get onto those platforms. So to answer the question of why does it not feel like the referrals are enough anymore, it's because there's so much more competition. Right? There's so many more people in your industry who are offering the same services. So if you want to stand out, you almost have to be proactive and do additional inputs in order to make yourself stand out and differentiate from everybody else in your industry. So that's a really great question. Number two is we're busy, but growth just feels slow. Is something wrong with our marketing? So this is another great point. So if right now your growth feels slow, chances are is you might not have a predictable way to actually generate leads and get them consistently on a daily basis. And that's the main thing that I've seen with Instagram and with marketing on that platform is that, again, not many local businesses in our area have actually caught on to that. So if you can be the first one to move onto that platform and actually attack it with a strategy, then you can absolutely dominate that marketplace and be able to reap all the benefits because no one else has tapped into it yet. So if you're the first person in your industry to get on there and actually start marketing, then you get to set the rules. You get to determine what the standard is. You get to set the standard in terms of your own content and your own marketing that you're putting out there. And then other people, once they catch on, they're gonna be looking at you as the leader. So if they start to copy or start to try and remake what it is that you've done and what you've created, then they're all just gonna look like copycats of you if you're the first one to actually set the standard for your industry. So to answer the question of, is something wrong with my marketing? It might just be the fact that you're not marketing where the attention actually is right now. Because if you were marketing in an effective way where the majority of the attention is, then you wouldn't have the problem of slow growth or unpredictable growth. It's just a matter of aligning those two things. So finding where the attention is right now, where are your actual clients and your actual buyers spending their time, and then making sure you're putting the correct marketing messaging and the correct offers in front of those people where their attention is. Once you align those two things, then you can see consistent results from that marketing. So the next question here is asking, we post on social media sometimes, but it never seems to lead to anything. What are we missing? This is another great point. So if you are posting consistently, but you're not getting consistent leads or consistent clients from that posting, chances are it's one of two things. Number one is that you don't have a predictable way to actually get those posts in front of local people who can actually buy your services. So if you're only relying on the algorithm or say organic content, any content that is not a paid advertisement, then it's gonna be really hard to actually predictably get that content in front of local people. Whereas when you have something like a local ad running, that is predictably getting your content shown by people in your local area who who can actually buy your services. If your goal is to generate more leads and get consistent leads and consistent clients from your content, then you just need a predictable way to get it in front of the right people. And the way that I found to do that is the easiest is just by running that hyper-targeted local ad, because that's gonna ensure that your business is showing up in front of local people who can actually buy and can actually afford your services. So the issue there is probably just that you may be relying on something like the algorithm or something that's outside of your control. Again, like we talked about with referrals and word of mouth, it's outside of your control. There's no way that you can predictably just press a button and turn on referrals or turn on more word of mouth. Whereas when you have this hyper-targeted local ad, you can just tell Instagram, I want you to show this ad in this specific neighborhood, in this specific zip code for this amount of time. And you can guarantee that it shows up in front of those people. So it's that predictability piece that's gonna make all the difference. So to answer the question, what are you missing? Chances are it's just that predictable way to actually get that content in front of the right local people. That's a really great question. So moving on to the next question, do Instagram ads even work anymore for local businesses? I like this question a lot. So I think a better question would be is, do local businesses even know about Instagram ads? That's the way I would frame that question, because in my opinion right now, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but just look around at all the other local businesses that you know, do you see many of them running Instagram ads? And not even that, but do you see them actually getting on camera and showing their face and actually talking to the camera in their Instagram ads? And if the answer is no, then that should be a green flag for you in your industry that says, man, if nobody else is doing this in my industry and I'm the first one to actually do that and get on Instagram and just get on camera and talk directly to my buyers and to the clients that I want to work with, that will instantly make you stand out and that will instantly differentiate you from everybody else. Because again, if no one in your industry is doing that and you are the first one to do it, you get to set the rules at that point. So whatever type of ads you wanna make, whatever type of content you wanna make, you basically have free reign in terms of how you market and how you show up as a business owner on these platforms. And that's a really great thing is, like I mentioned, not a lot of people have caught onto this. So you can put your own spin on things and you can do it in a way that you wanna do it. And another thing I always like to point out is that ads have always done what they're intended to do. So if someone ever says that ads don't work, the chances are they just did not have the right strategy. They did not spend enough in terms of budget to actually see the result that they wanted, or they didn't spend enough time to actually run that ad. Because if you don't have the right budget and you don't have the right strategy, then you're not gonna spend the time to keep running those ads if you're not seeing results from them. So ads have always done what they're intended to do, which is to get your post in front of more people wherever you target that ad. But like I mentioned, if you don't have a strategy beyond what happens after that ad is run, you can't expect to get clients and actually get sales and actually generate leads from that ad. You have to have an actual strategy in terms of marketing, in terms of the messaging that you're putting out to actually target that ad. There's all these different components that go into it. So just realize that, like I mentioned, ads have always done what they're intended to do. They get you seen by more people and they get you seen by people who have the intent to actually buy from you. But it's up to you as the person running the ad to understand that there needs to be a series of events that happen after that ad is actually shown to ensure that you're able to generate a lead and actually generate a booked call and generate a client from that ad. So to answer the question, yes, Instagram ads still do work for local businesses. And I don't even think a lot of local businesses even know about Instagram ads yet. And this leads me to the next question. We tried ads, we got clicks, but no real leads. What went wrong? This is a great question. So what likely went wrong is that the ad was maybe not targeted correctly, meaning there wasn't actual messaging in the ad that was speaking to a specific person. And I can just tell you the framework that we always recommend when it comes to these advertisements on Instagram. And it's number one, just calling out the actual audience that you're speaking to. So if you're a home remodeler and you just call out Wilmington homeowners, you're gonna disqualify anyone who's a renter, anyone who doesn't live in Wilmington, and anyone who's not a homeowner. So just by doing that alone, you're actually going to speak to one specific person. And then the next thing we like to do is just to call out a pain point. So, hey, are you tired of walking down into your kitchen every morning into just an old and outdated and just grimy looking kitchen, right? We're calling out the pain point that that person has. Then we're gonna position ourselves as the solution and just talk about the desired outcome. Well, here at XYZ Home Remodeling, we actually build the dream kitchens for homeowners in the area just like you. So if you're struggling with that outdated kitchen, we can actually show you how we create dream kitchens for homeowners in the area just like you. And then the last thing we're gonna do is just follow that with a call to action. So one of our favorite ones is to just follow us on Instagram, because by saying that, that is probably the easiest, low friction, lowest sales resistance thing that you can say, because a person isn't suspecting that they're gonna get sold to if you just ask them to follow you on Instagram. Versus what we see a lot of business owners doing is they're running ads that are telling people to click the link to get a quote, or click the link and fill out your information so that we can schedule a call. And a lot of times if people aren't actually ready to take that step, then they're just gonna keep scrolling past that ad. Whereas if you can tell somebody, hey, look, if you are this specific person and you have the specific pain point or problem and you want this desired outcome and the solution that we provide, then just follow us on Instagram to see exactly how you can get that. That's so much easier for people to take action on versus actually filling out their name and their phone number and their email from an ad that they're seeing from a business that they have never seen or heard of before. And this is equivalent to, say, you're walking down the street and you just see a random person and you say, hey, can you give me your name, your phone number, and your email? Who's gonna do that, right? Versus if you just walk down the street and you ask a person like, hey, do you have this specific problem? And are you looking for this type of solution? If so, would you just check out my Instagram here and just see what it's all about? Think of those two scenarios, right? One is way less pressure and way easier for someone to actually take action. And that's the whole goal with marketing here, is just to make it as easy as possible for people to take the next step. Versus what a lot of business owners do is from day one, they try to get people to just jump across that bridge and just go from not even knowing you to handing over their credit card and paying you. But what the best marketers know how to do is to actually create that bridge and just help prospects actually walk over that bridge step by step. So instead of telling them, hey, jump across this bridge, give me your name, phone number, and email, give me your credit card, and we're gonna swipe it today, they can just tell the prospect to then take the next step. And they make that next step as easy as possible. So by just telling them, hey, look, if you have this problem and you want this solution, just follow us on Instagram. You're helping them take that first step onto the bridge, whereas then they can actually build trust with you and see the rest of the content on your profile. And that's what's gonna keep pushing them and encouraging them along that bridge until they're fully ready to then actually step across and go to the other side and convert into a paying client. So that's the difference there when it comes to marketing and actually understanding what the goal is here, is we just wanna make it as easy as possible for people to actually take the next step, because that's just gonna increase the likelihood that they make it all the way to the end and become a paying customer. So I know that was a long-winded way to answer that question, but really what it comes down to, if you are trying ads and you're getting clicks but not leads, it's because you're probably skipping steps and you're trying to convince somebody from day one to actually make a buying decision, whereas there's multiple steps that need to be made and multiple touch points that need to happen before they're actually ready to do that. So I would go back and just relook at what it is that you're asking people to do from that initial ad or from that initial piece of marketing that you're putting out, and just making sure that you're making it as easy as possible for people to take the next small step instead of trying to jump and skip steps and go all the way to the end. So that would be the best piece of advice I could give for that one. Next, how much should a local business really be spending on ads? This is another great question. So when it comes to budget, I've always said this, and I always just recommend anywhere from $20 to $50 per day. And that's just going to get you seen by people within your local radius. So let's say you only service within a 20 to 30 mile radius of Wilmington or of your actual city, then starting at that budget is going to get you seen by plenty of people in the local area, and it's different for everybody. And that's just a starting point. So a few things to consider here. Let's say you're selling a high ticket service. Again, we'll use the home remodeler example. Let's say an average job for you is anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000. So with that in mind, you can expect to spend a couple $1,000s on your ads in order to acquire or buy one of those customers, because technically you're buying customers because you're spending money to buy these ads. And what you're doing is actually acquiring customers from the budget that you've spent. So if you think about it, you technically are just buying customers. And if your average job is anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, then you can afford to spend a couple $1,000s to acquire a client. But this comes back to what I was talking about earlier when I said that not many people are actually marketing on Instagram yet and using this actual strategy. So the great part about this is that you can expect to spend way less on your ads to actually acquire those clients, because the amount of money that you need to spend to actually run this strategy is not high at all. And the reason is because we're targeting way more of the market. Whereas a lot of business owners now are running direct response ads, meaning they're asking people to book a call from an ad, or they're asking people for their name, their phone number, and their email from a first ad that someone has ever seen from their business. And the problem with that is that the cost per lead from that is very, very high, because you're targeting a specific person who is ready to buy right now, today, and you're banking on them filling out their information on that ad as soon as they see it. So of course it's gonna cost a little bit more to actually acquire leads and acquire customers from those type of ads, because you're targeting such a small section of the market. Whereas when you actually expand the section of the market that you're targeting and you go after everybody in the market and not just the people who are ready to buy today, now you're actually opening yourself up to the other 95% of the market who maybe isn't ready to buy today. But the great thing is you're actually still capturing all the people who are ready to buy today, in addition to opening yourself up to everyone else who maybe isn't ready today, but will be ready in 1 week or in 3 weeks or in 3 months or however long it takes for them. You're still capturing them from that initial ad, and then you're just building trust with them over time, so that what you'll see is that when you build your audience this way, you're actually getting more and more people who are interested in you and want to buy your services, and they are just at different points in their buying journey. So to answer the question, how much should I be spending as a local business owner on ads? I would recommend that $20 to $50 per day to start. And then once you actually identify your customer acquisition cost, meaning how much you have to spend on ads to acquire a customer, then you have actual data and you have actual numbers that you can go off of, and you can scale accordingly. So let's say, for example, with a home remodeler, if your average job is $25,000 and you can spend $1,500 on ads to acquire a $25,000 client, then now you have hard numbers that say every time you put in $1,500, you get $25,000 out. And then it's just up to you at that point. How many times are you willing to spend that $1,500 to then generate $25,000 in return on that ad spend? The choice is yours at that point. How much work can you handle? How much can you keep putting in that $1,500 to then generate that $25,000 on the back end of it? So that would be my answer for that one. Moving on, do I need a fancy website or landing page before I start running ads? This is another great question, and I get this one a lot. So to answer the question in short, no, you do not need a fancy website or landing page, because what we're doing with this strategy is actually turning your Instagram profile into the landing page. So we're just turning your profile into a landing page that is doing all the trust building for you when someone lands on your page from the ads. So I've made other videos about this in the past that breaks down the full strategy, but at the most basic level, you're running a locally targeted Instagram ad that's not selling anything. The whole goal of that ad is to just show up in front of local people and actually get them to come follow your page and check out the rest of your content. And once they land on your page, you're just filling that page with video content of you as the business owner actually answering questions that people would have before they would hire you. It's showing proof that you work with other clients in the area. It's showing the results that you've gotten for them. It's showing all these different things that people would want to see in order to trust you and be ready to make a buying decision with your business. So you don't technically need a website or a landing page to run this strategy, because you're just turning your Instagram into that landing page. So next question, what do you mean by trust building content? So like I've talked about in the past, you have the local Instagram ad that is just driving local people to your page. And then once they get to your page, you're just filling your page with trust building content. So trust building content is basically just content that is building trust with people. Go figure, right? But to answer the question, it's really just content that is addressing frequently asked questions. So I always like to think of this from a buyer's perspective. So let's say I'm somebody who's looking for a financial planner. I'm getting ready to retire. I had a business and I sold it. So I have, let's say, $1 million plus in assets to actually invest. And I want a financial planner to invest that for me. So what I'm gonna do before I actually hire that financial planner is I'm gonna go do some research, and there's certain questions in my mind that I need answered before I can say I actually trust this person to take my $1 million that I have here and invest it and make me a return on that money. So on the flip side of that, if I'm a financial planner, what I wanna do is actually put myself into the shoes of the ideal client that I would want, meaning the buyer in this scenario. I would just put myself in their shoes and say, what is it that they would want to know in order to actually trust me enough to give me their $1 million to invest and make them a return? And what I would do is just make video content that answers all of those questions that that specific person would have. And this takes some thought here, because you actually have to get outside of your own head and you need to get into the shoes of the actual buyer that you want to work with and just work backwards from there. So I know it might sound complicated, but in my mind, it makes it a lot more simple, because now making content is no longer about me as a person. It's just about, hey, there's a specific type of person that I want to help, and I know the specific problems and challenges that they have. So if I can just make video content that answers and addresses all of those problems and questions that they have in their mind, then they will actually trust me to then invest their money for them once they have those questions answered. Again, that really simplifies it for me, because all I have to do is show the specific person who I want to hire me that I understand their problems better than they even know them themselves. And that's all great marketing is. It's just understanding the actual buyer more than they understand the problems that they have themselves.